So BPS Next Gen. Just a quick where we are, what we are, and who we are. Basically, BPS is the broadcasting side of the game, and we do feature films and news guys and all that kind of jazz. So it's basically cameras, lighting, sound. That's that. And some years, 2 or 3 years ago, myself and our sustainability director, Leslie Marr, started getting very interested in what was going on with battery power, because we could see from our side of the industry, battery, diesel and petrol needed to be cleaned up. So we were very keen to get involved with battery power and try and see what's out there, what's safe and what's good and what's. So around today, you'll see our little goat. Some people think it's the greatest of all time, but it's actually named after the goat, and the idea is that it's rugged and it can get in places, etc., where you can't normally go, and it's solar chargeable and blah, blah, blah. And then today we are launching the 3.6 version, that's a prototype that we have down here. So the good news is that it's all happening here, that we now have a unit that is one-man liftable. Which we decided, we met James Mac some 2 years ago at the BSC show, and he was talking about moss, how moss is such a fantastic plant.
It's great for everything, yeah.
And for cleaning up the CO2. So we got involved in that instead of getting into trees and all the rest. So sphagnum, which is moss, that's really where we are. James is going to explain to us where, why, and how. So let's go for it.
Sure. So, hi everyone. I was at DOP back in the day. So yeah, I was a DOP, and as we all know, how wasteful the film and telly industry is, and quite how bad for the environment it often is. And I think schemes like Albert didn't really help like they should have done. So I've been doing lots of conservation work anyway for years and years and years. I was either going to go into that or film, but I've always volunteered doing conservation work for Tyne Runners Trust and other groups around. So I was hunting for this an opportunity, and I was hunting for about 5 years until I found a bit of land which was so damaged and awful and poisoned that nobody else
How
wanted.
was it poisoned or damaged? What was the cause?
I basically bought an old lead mine. So where stuff has been taken out of the ground, essentially, all those things that were under the ground are now on top in terms of mine spoils. So that means that we get rainwater runoff, which goes into the Tyne and the Tees from my bit of land. The heavy metal poisons the levels are pretty high. You can't drink the water up there because of that. Yeah.
So, moss. How does moss cope with lead?
So, moss is pretty brilliant. What I've decided to grow moss for, sphagnum moss, is for the peatland restoration program. I don't know if any of you are aware of that. It's the same sort of drive as you get for planting trees. They're now doing that for peatlands as well, for wetlands, because and this surprised me when I discovered it. Peatlands cover about 3% of the planet, but they capture carbon. 30% of all the carbon in the ground soil is stored in our peatlands. So, of course, for years and years and years, we've destroyed our peatlands, burning it. So the peatland restoration program is designed for people who can grow moss, because we've got the right environment up there. Then they get shipped elsewhere to places which have got damaged peatlands, and hopefully within about 30 years they should be restored. It makes
you're growing moss, which cleans up basically the runoff from the land, the water.
It does.
And the thing that really interested us is that moss is 3 times more efficient than tree or whatever, or an acre of trees, an acre of moss. It's 3 times more efficient with coping with CO2.
Yeah.
The other nice thing that from my side has been a bit of a I hide in the garden shed type situation. I like the idea that I've got areas in my garden which are bogland, and
Yes.
I'm now, thanks very much, I'm now trying to grow some mosses, and I need to talk to you about any
Yeah.
samples, if you have any samples.
Okay, I can do that.
That'd be very kind. But the Firestone Bridge Conservation Project, which you set up, you've got moss, you've got cotton grass. How many, I'm sure this is going to be crazy, but how many different types of moss are there in the UK? Or
Oh, there's
into
more
hundreds?
than thousands.
Thousands of,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, excuse me. The field guide, the bryological field guide, it's called, because nobody really knows a lot about moss because it's a plant which the Victorians weren't interested in. So often they've been named a couple of times, and you have to get in on a microscope to really see the differences. Yeah.
So there you have.
So yeah, the moss on the left there, that's called Sphagnum paluster, and it's relatively rare, but that's the one that I'm going to grow specifically for the peatlands. It's really robust.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really hard.
And would that only grow in the north of England, or will it grow? The conditions need to be damp.
The conditions need to be damp, basically. Yeah. So moss, it's a non-vascular plant.
Yeah.
So it takes all of its nutrients through rainwater.
Okay.
So it just has to be wet enough for that to continue the cycle of keeping it plump and.
So we've given you a wee generator, a goat
Yes.
generator, and you're using that for keeping the land damp during the summer. Is that?
That's exactly it. So, although it's very wet up there all the time, pretty much, the last summer there was 3 months of relatively dry weather, where essentially the water table dropped to beneath where the moss was actually very happy. A lot of it dried out, which isn't so bad because moss is pretty brilliant. When it dries out, it doesn't die. Bits of it break off, and each bit that breaks off can start a new plant of moss.
Once it's dampened.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
so it can die back and dry out, as you might say, and it'll still come back.
It
Okay.
can, but the reason why I want to keep the permanent cloud in there is to make sure that everything I'm doing is scientifically farming perfect.
Okay.
Because we have to be very careful to not import funguses and bacteria from my bit of land to another bit, because that might be ecologically devastating.
Right. So one thing I thought was really interesting is that moss, over probably hundreds and thousands of years, was actually used for wounds in battle.
Yes.
And you've been talking to, is it DEFRA?
Yes.
And you're talking to them and maybe military type usage or plastic or
Well,
something?
no, I mean, I think...
Is that a dream?
A bunch of hippies will always use it for... and rightly so, I'm one of them. Yeah, you can use it for wound dressings, for sanitary products. You can use it for you can also eat it if you really start. You could eat it, but I mean, you wouldn't want to.
There's side effects.
Well, from my land, there would be full of arsenic.
So I can cross that out and write down magics.
Yes.
Not many of you will know what I'm talking about. That's the 70s. So basically, we're all working together to offset, and the manufacturers that have turned up today have donated, which is great. You're all done your own part of sustainable offsetting, which is great for James to actually get new tools and what he needs. You have a Knoll camper van that you use as your laboratory, and
yes, I do. It was actually it was a half-built sauna for festivals.
Oh, okay.
So that's my lab. I've got a little caravan up there with a wood burning stove, which is really necessary because we're 2 kilometres up in terms of height above sea level. So it's got a terrible wind the whole time. It's pretty shocking. Right now, I couldn't get there to bring any samples because it was under 6 foot of snow.
Oh, was it?
So, yeah.
Bless it.
Yeah.
So this is the area here that we've got.
Yes,
so we can see that it's only, is it spruce pine that
Yeah, so
really do grow and can cope with the weather? there. But
Basically, yeah, there's some deciduous in there, but for the most part, it's really there's a wind there called the Hall wind, which just belts right up the valley and hits along the side of my hill there.
Okay.
So the only where there's trees, they're usually in the sheltered area.
Okay.
So, but the trees themselves are quite interesting. I don't know if you can really see from there, but the
Any other pictures?
yeah. So
So here we have, they're spruce pine, are they?
yeah. So no, they're larch.
Okay.
But the Scots pines are very much interesting natural England because they appear to be of a variety which they think there's only about 4 left.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, 4 actual trees.
Okay.
So it's a native English Scots pine they think we have up there. Essentially, all the forest there is self-seeded. It's completely.
But the weather conditions only let the toughest of all
Exactly.
plants or trees to actually grow and all the rest.
Exactly.
So the moss, as we, the great thing is that it's CO2. It's coping with that. It's helping us with that. An interesting fact is basically we can use it for, bandages and all the rest.
Yeah.
But you were talking to DEFRA, and they were interested in trying to get some small spurs and actually growing that and sort of seeing if.
Yeah, so
it's a long trail project.
It is. So the first crop will be in approximately 3 years.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And from then, I should have a new crop every year just by rotating while I'm growing. And those plugs that I'm growing, which are a mixture of the sphagnum moss and cotton grass and wavy hair grass, they'll be individually wrapped up and taken away by helicopter, believe it or not, because they're mainly going to the Lake District, because that's where most of the peatland damage is.
The helicopter they're using, is that a battery operated?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It is.
Pedals.
Sponsored by NXTGENbps. Well, basically, it's an important field for all of us to try and get to understand. This is something that we talk about, trees and CO2 and all the rest. But the most important thing to remember is that moss at ground level is such a simple thing for us all to actually participate. If if you want to start growing a bit of moss on the window ledge or whatever, it is quite a beautiful thing. You can get so many different versions. You get very sweet, small. The flowering colours are purple, pink.
Oh, yeah.
You can get, but basically, if you have
rainbow.
a really sort of bad patch of land in your garden, you can basically go for it yourself and make your contribution to offsetting.
Well, it's all true. It really is. It's quite a wonderful thing. The reason why it seems to work better than trees is obviously it grows faster, but it's only little. It only gets to be that tall, but its surface area is enormous. I don't know if you could see on the baluster.
That's you going up. That's you doing a
That's
bit of work
me with
for
your
change.
Jenny. Yeah.
And you see that the nice thing is, just going back to NXTGENbps, you can bring the batteries anywhere you like. And there's a prime example of it.
It's true.
It's better than going to the gym, without a doubt. So I just want to, have you planted trees over here at the top
Yeah.
left? So what sort of trees have you planted there?
So they're a mixture of aspen and willow and silver birch, which are all deciduous
Yeah.
and probably won't work because that hillside is pure poison.
Okay.
So what I'm doing with it is I'm using sphagnum moss actually in the hill so it retains water. So the sphagnum moss actually keeps the soil elements which are in the soil, keeps them wet.
Okay.
Which means that I can grow some simple grass seeds in there. When they rot down, eventually we'll have enough soil there. So soil creation is really important.
Okay.
Because if you've got soil, you can grow things in it, and that keeps the poisons where they should be in the ground.
Acidic soil or lime soil, is that?
It's fully very acidic.
It's very acidic, so basically, yeah.
Yeah, it's I have to lime it before I.
Oh, right, to
before
balance it out a bit.
Yeah.
So that's where some of your costs are coming from. So how many acres did you invest in, God bless you?
50.
50 acres of land.
Acres, yeah. That was the parcel for sale, and it was wise.
And it's no use for pasture, for anything at all. It's too dangerous.
No, the land itself is quite dangerous. There's pits and shafts all over the place.
This is the weather that you can get up.
Oh yes, yeah,
That's on a sunny day.
that's pretty much as good as it gets.
And this is the 50 acres of land. Sorry to
Yes, it
interrupt
is.
you. I beg your pardon. Forgot about the noise. So this is your plantation, as you might say.
Yeah.
That's the whole area.
And so the bit which we're going to be making the moss farm on is just is it a grey bit in the middle, just there.
Yeah.
That's that tract of land there. It's all badly poisoned spoil. It's flat though.
So the rate of growth of moss, say in a year, and the conditions are right, what sort of speed? Will it cover a metre squared, or
No, so
in a year, or how does it go?
each plug will be a sort of selection of 5 or 6
Different.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when they're planted into the essentially where the water table is,
Okay.
because they need that permanent water where they're going. We do have to re-wet them.
Okay.
So there's irrigation systems as well going in there. But it will take about 6 years for them to establish and grow and join together, because moss is quite slow.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I didn't realise that.
Yeah. Because to deliver sustainable moss, you have to grow it from seed. So,
Okay. So this takes time.
Yeah.
Quite a long bit
Yes.
of time. But 50 acres is going to keep you busy for the...
Yeah. Well, it won't be done until I'll be dead before it's.
Well,
it's
let's
even
not
half.
wish on that one,
Yes.
but, you know.
This cold actually might kill me off this week. So.
So many people do you have, volunteers and all the rest? Do you have people helping you? Is it a good
No, it's
team,
pretty much
or-
just me.
Oh, is it just you?
Yeah, it's just me.
We're looking for volunteers.
No, I say it's just me, but I work with all the agencies. So when there is things for us to do, then I can always bring in.
But there was these people that are here, and these close friends from the village. It's near very small. What's the small village?
Yeah, the
It's
village
quite
is
near.
called Nenthead.
Great name.
It's a great little town, but it was the mining town originally.
Okay.
It's the highest industrial town in all of England.
Gee, okay.
But it's gone a bit lifeless now, solely because there's no industry there at all. So there's no pub. There's no
pub.
There's no pub.
Okay.
It's
Get that one off the list.
Yeah. It's a heartbreak.
And the other, you were talking about there's 2 main rivers that your area feeds.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's the Tyne and the
Is it?
Tees.
And
Yeah.
it actually starts up here.
It does.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, the very top of the hill, that is the very top of the source.
Okay.
So all the rainwater goes in through the mines and comes out toxic straight away. So that's what we're trying to mitigate.
And the mines are how far? Is it
Oh,
soil? Is it
it's-
topsoil they removed and mined there, or did they go
No, they're
underground?
proper drift mines.
Are they?
Yeah, and there's some stuff. There's some minor adits which are the tunnels that you can walk into on the side from pre-Roman times as well. So people have been taking from this land for years and years and years, and for me, it's time we gave something back.
So the Romans got up as far as there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So brilliant. Well, that's me. Look skinny there. I'll go backwards. Sorry, someone didn't do their homework. So basically, that's the crack.
That is the crack.
That's why we got involved with Moss. We think is a fantastic way and to help James. But basically, you had a tough year with the writer's strike and all the rest, and work and all the rest.
That was sort of for me, that was me going, well, you know what, I'm happy doing this.
Just being a
I'll
Moss.
Just be Jim the Moss.
Yeah.
That's
And through the year, I know through the seasons in the year, you're not able to get there all the time, or is there a certain time that's good to be there, or forget about it?
It's funny, at the winter time, it's really good for doing things like chopping trees down and fencing and walling. So I'm up there most of the time now, doing those works as far as budgets will allow. Okay. That's where I'm up to. Because although people have an impression that if you bought land then you're rich, I've spent every penny I've ever earned on that.
That's why we're here today,
So yes, it will hopefully come good, or my wife will kill me.
So basically,
Yeah.
yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. We have really enjoyed learning. No, I have immensely about what moss does and all the rest. And I need to get. As I'm being very serious. I need to get some plugs from you to get that going. The fact that I didn't realise the Romans got in there.
Yeah.
Way beforehand, because
Yeah.
makes me think of the statement from Trump that America and the Romans have been close with each other for thousands of years, which he gave out when he was the 2016, when he went to Italy, and it was the 2016 press release that I didn't know that. I didn't even know they were up there, but there we go.
Yeah. They got everywhere when they could put slaves. And
You have a blog.
we do.
And we'll get that out, because we're going to do an awful lot of social work for you to actually keep in touch and support if you can, or even to learn more about it or to understand it, because at the end of the day, sustainable, we're having a tough time in the world at the moment. There's many things going on. So any little bit that we can do, great.
Yeah.
So we give that a shot.
Sure.
The blog we have there, you have a GoFundMe, which is great.
Yes.
People can £2, £1, whatever the heck.
If you're feeling flush, or even if you're not, then it'll be everything.
I think your catch
really
line
grateful,
is
yes.
Bob Geldof, 1970 or 19 Live Aid, give me your feckin' money, which is a great line for 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. Moss is a fantastic. There's thousands, you're saying, of different variations of it.
Yeah, there are.
It's basically like orchids are the same thing. They're a plant that are small, like moss, but there's certain orchids, for example, that are only possible to grow here in the UK, but not in anywhere else in the world. And I'm sure is that the same with certain mosses?
Yes, it is. So with the mosses that are required are sort of pre-ordered, because they know that some of the remaining moss will grow there.
Okay.
Because normally, if you take a moss, put it somewhere slightly different, it will die.
Wow.
It's really quite picky. But at the same point, it's ubiquitous. So yeah, whatever we do will work.
Brilliant. So that's it. Hopefully it's educated you a little bit about moss. Thanks, James. It's very kind.
You're welcome. Thank you.